Alright guys, welcome back to another video today talking about the 2022 governor's election as of December of 2021, of course. This is going to be something that is highly predictive of what's going to happen next year, late in the year, of course. And we're going to go ahead and fill out the states that are not going to be close at all. First of all, I'm going to say New York is not going to be even remotely close. Now, with Andrew Cuomo, of course, he's a terrible person, but keep in mind, the person who replaced him is even worse. Now, with Andrew Cuomo, he's a man, okay? Nipple piercings aside, he is a straight man. Anyways, he is a man, and that gives him the clear advantage over the woman, Kathy Hochul, I think her name is. And overall, that bitch is stupid. She's far left. And so much for the coping on Twitter about, like, oh, she got endorsed by the NRA, as if that means anything anyway. That's like saying she got endorsed by fucking John McCain 10 years ago. Really breaking ground here. Anyways, the governorship in Vermont should be ran for and conserved by the not so conservative governor currently, who is also, what's his name? Phil Scott, not Rick Scott. I'm sorry, I have dementia like Joe Biden. Now, if we move on to the next state that's not going to be that close, it's going to be the state of Massachusetts. Massachusetts will go far left. Now, this might deviate from my most recent governor's prediction because at that point, it was kind of obvious that I had Charlie Baker as the incumbent governor, but because he's being a bitch right now, he's not going to run again. And I assume that has to do with the fact that either he doesn't think he can win again, or because he knows that he's gotten nothing done in Massachusetts, of course, being controlled by the Democratic trifecta over there, minus the governorship. Obviously, they're going ahead and steamrolling whatever he wants to pass that's even remotely to the right of Joe Biden. So I suppose he's frustrated with that, which is kind of gay because, honestly, having a Republican, despite being far left as a Republican, is still better than a Democrat because the Democrats actively hurt the state, whereas the Republican just lets them hurt it, which is a very big difference, okay? It's like the difference between having a guy who's not fighting fire in a house and lets it burn versus somebody who's actively spreading more gas, okay? Like, if we're going to have a shithole northeastern state, let it, give us time to, maybe salvage it or maybe get out of the state before it gets too bad, okay? Now, on to the next state that's not going to be close. It's going to be New Hampshire, believe it or not. New Hampshire is not going to be quite close. In fact, the popularity of Chris Sununu is pretty high, and he's already said that he's going to run for governor again and not Senate, which is kind of disappointing. But at the same time, the guy wasn't that conservative to begin with. Now, he's a relatively good fit for the state of New Hampshire, which is somewhat right liberal, if you know what I mean. It's socially liberal, as in degenerate, and fiscally Republican, okay, as in capitalist. And I personally think that he's going to easily win, just like he's won the last several years as governor. Nothing much to speak about there. Now, the next state that I see as potential flip is probably Connecticut. I think Connecticut is going to be a state where if we run the right Republican, we could probably get it close. Now, that being said, unless we get the guy who got within 3 in 2018, we're not going to win again. So keep this in mind. I'm just going to have it in the lean blue just in case I'm wrong. I'm not really researching the elections before I make the videos because that's a waste of time. So there we go. And then the next thing I'm going to do is fill out the state of Rhode Island. We have McKee, I think, who's the current governor right now. I know that Matt Gagnon might be on suicide watch, but the governorship is 100% going to the Democrats in 2022. And if it doesn't, I will eat a shoe, or more likely I will go and hunt a turtle down and kill it. I don't know. Anyways, we're going to move on to the next state of Illinois. Illinois with J.B. Pritzker, who's a fat piece of shit. I think he can run for re-election. In 2018, I think he can go ahead and say that he won by a good margin then, and he will win by a good margin again, despite him being a terrible governor. Lockdown, aficionado, gayer than Kissinger somehow. He's fat as fuck. He honestly looks like Josh from Drake and Josh when he was fat, plus 150 pounds. The guy's a trust fund baby. He's garbage. Again, he's fat. I just cannot emphasize how much I hate that guy. He's so fat. So fat. Fucking doughboy. He's going to win, unfortunately. Anyways, next state is going to be the great, beautiful state of Virginia that I forgot to fill out as a Republican already. Also, the state of New Jersey is not going to be too close, as there will not be an election next year. New Jersey. Duh. The next state that's going to have an election that already had one this year is going to be California, where Gavin Newsom won by double digits against the black guy, what's his name? Larry Elder. Larry Elder got destroyed, which is truly unfortunate because I thought we had a chance sometime in August, and unfortunately, it got ripped right out of the hands of the righteous black hands of the spokesperson of white supremacy, fucking Larry Elder. Anyways, now that I'm done rambling about California, I can safely say that it'll go safe blue for Gavin Newsom. Could he, maybe only win by less than 15? Sure, but who really gives a fuck if he's gonna win by more than 10? I don't really care anyway. Next election we are going to be speaking about is going to be the state of South Dakota with Kristi Noem. Now, Kristi Noem is somebody who's terrible electorally, believe it or not. You might say, well, she's a solid Republican who's decently attractive for her age. Like, can the Cougar possibly win a safe state by more than 5 points? The answer is no. As of 2010, 12, 14, 16, 18, until now, I'm pretty sure she's not won with a safe margin because she is just terrible. These blue dog farces of candidates here in the Midwest or the Upper Plains region simply cannot beat Kristi Noem, nor can they lose by too much. She barely beat some crippled veteran guy, I suppose, in the South Dakota election for governor in 2018. And again, it was a blue wave, but at the same time, you ought to be winning South Dakota by like 20 points as a Republican. So again, very underperforming as a candidate, which is surprising because, again, she's a solid Republican who's good looking. I just suppose she hires really shitty people to run her campaign, as well as her campaign itself not being too good as well. So again, she's pretty bad. Even worse than Sarah Palin, arguably. And she's also kind of a rhino in many different respects. But not to get too deep in the details about this, I'm going to go ahead and give her a safe margin this time because I don't think the cripple's going to run against her again. And even if he does, the same old tricks of, us Democrats are moderate. I mean, like, she'll be able to kill him on the COVID stuff anyways because she has a free state. And of course, COVID isn't that bad in such a disparately populated state such as South Dakota or North Dakota or Montana for that matter. Now, the next state we're going to be, again, I hate saying this phrase. I keep saying it over and over again. But next state that's going to be discussed is going to be Maryland. Maryland, which is kind of important as a state. I kind of see it as something that is analogous to a shithole because that's what it is. Rat-infested, as Donald Trump called it in 2019, I believe. It's overall kind of too full of people. It is way too Democrat, if you know what I mean. And overall has a ton of, when you just break it down, yes, the Panhandle is Republican, but everything else is Democrat. You look over here. Baltimore, black inner city, very Democrat. The suburbs around D.C., very Democrat as well, unfortunately. Overall, there's no hope for Republicans other than Larry Hogan, the fat, bald white hope. This guy who's married to an all-Asian family, which is sort of weird, but okay, we'll roll with it for now. Clearly, he's going to be able to win if he runs again. I don't know if he's term limited or not. So based off that, I'm just going to assume he runs again. I don't fucking care anyway. You should be able to win because if you run as a leftist in the Northeast, for whatever reason, you tend to win. I don't know. Beats me. Anyway, Maine. Who's running in Maine again? Who fucking knows? But what I do know is that Trump got within single digits, I believe, in Maine in both elections. So given that fact, with the red wave, we should be able to win Maine tilt, maybe? I don't know. Next state. Again, I'm not really researching this because I don't really care anymore about politics insofar as, like, the governorship is concerned. It's kind of boring to me, honestly. Like, that's why I'm not going to make a video about redistricting or anything anytime soon, I think, because it's overall such a boring, tedious piece of shit sort of thing to get into. Anyways, Hawaii. Safe blue, of course. Again, very safe blue state, democratic as hell. Again, the alleged birthplace of Barack Hussein Obama. That's a joke, or is it? And then we have Alaska with, Sarah Palin's home state, the home state of Baked Alaska, the home state of the Klondike Bear, I suppose. It's going to go safe R, and if it doesn't, that's going to be a surprise. I don't really care either way. Okay, next up, we're going to be speaking about Tennessee. Tennessee should have no problem electing a Republican governor, unlike Kentucky with Matt Bevin. That flipped blue in 2019, I believe. We're also not going to be talking about Louisiana, which elected a Democrat governor as well. So again, there's a lot of flukes. So we can have a blue Illinois, which makes sense, a red South Dakota, which makes sense, but also a red Vermont, which doesn't. And we tend to see this around the map. Okay? Now, next state that's relevant is going to be the next subject material for me to speak about while I'm feeling dead air. Kansas will be the first flip of the night, I suppose, where we win it by a safe margin over Laura Kelly. Sure, she has high approval ratings. Sure, she's been a moderate. But who really cares? In a national environment that's going to be relatively polarized, we are going to see her get destroyed by a safe margin. Against Chris Kobach, probably not. Chris Kobach sucks. Electability not so high over here for this guy. But what I will say is that in Kansas, the Republican wave will destroy her. Quite frankly, the Republican perspective owns her. That's an inside joke. Wyoming, where we have, the Cheney establishment, the roots of the Cheneys. Again, a safe Republican win. Maybe a rhino will win. I don't really care. The point is that we're going to win the seat. The governor's mansion shall be ours, I suppose. Now, Alabama, not even close. Kate Ivey, I suppose, limited abortions, which is awesome. The left lost their shit a couple of years ago about it. We'd love to see it. Should go safe red again. Not Arizona, Arkansas. How dare I compare the two states? They're not close at all. Arkansas, home of Bill Clinton, one of the greatest politicians in my lifetime, is going to go safe red and has gone safe red for a while now. Home of Tom Cotton, debatably the best senator in the world right now. I'm not even joking. Okay, South Carolina is going to be not close at all. Former governor was Nikki Haley, who is, quite frankly, a terrible human being. But the stain of Nikki Haley is remaining on South Carolina. So don't expect an America First governor coming anytime soon. Either way, it's going to be a GOP one at that, okay? Next state. Iowa, not close at all either. We have Kim Reynolds running, I believe, who is Joni Ernst knockoff, not as attractive. That's not saying much at all either. Is going to win by a safe margin. Again, Chuck Grassley will win huge and will carry whoever the fuck is running as a Republican, I guess Kim Reynolds, to the victory line, okay? Oklahoma, it's coming sooner, if you believe it or not. It's going to be an early election victory. I hope they call Oklahoma before they do South Dakota, because I personally think that Kirsty Noem is overrated AF on Twitter. And Oklahoma, again, Kevin Stitt, good governor, hosted Trump's first comeback rally in Tulsa in 2020, which was a disaster, by the way. But overall, cool guy. I guess he'll go ahead and reinvigorate the base yet again, and we will make Oklahoma a shitty Indian reserve again. I don't know. Ugh. Okay. Charisma juice is running out, boys. Okay, Idaho. Easy win for the Republicans. I think we have somebody called Brad Little running over there, but I don't really care. It's Mormon trash. Mormon potato trash. Anyways, Oregon. A state that Red Eagle infamously called a possible flip in 2020, or actually 2019, I think he said that. Or he said that Tucker could flip at tilt or something stupid like that. I will not forget that. Anyways, Oregon is going to be safe blue, unfortunately, despite Antifa just fucking destroying Portland. Nobody cares, which is just truly tragic. These white people in the suburbs, wake the hell up. What are you thinking? People that work at Starbucks, the Starbucks that get looted on a weekly basis. What are you guys thinking voting Democrat? You fucking imbeciles, wake up. So I don't feel bad for the people of Oregon. If you're going to elect Kate Brown again, you guys are dipshits, quite frankly, okay? Next gray figure on the map that I'm going to be clicking on will be the state of Texas. Texas will not be close at all. I think Greg Abbott will destroy Beto O'Rourke again, and it'll be something that'll be really borderline harassment. It'll be a complete rape of Beto, who is as unpopular as he's ever been, a guy who lost to Ted Cruz, and don't even believe for a second that he would have won against Ted Cruz in any other election year, because quite frankly, 2018 was a bad year for Republicans, and had it been a neutral electorate, I think that Ted Cruz would have won by more than 5. But never mind that. Beto overall is just a shitty person. I don't even want to get started on Beto. I just really dislike the guy. He's a phony, fake Mexican. La Raza does not support him. The Mexican vote will trend to Greg Abbott. Crippled vote will turn out in high numbers that will roll on on the ramp access to the precinct area where they vote, and they're going to turn out huge for one of the greatest governors in America right now. And I'm not even kidding. You know, people might say that Ron DeSantis is, you know, a good governor, but fuck that. You know, they're saying, oh, Ron DeSantis is doing this. It's like, well, you know what? Greg Abbott probably made that sort of bill like 2 months ago. Okay, like banning critical race theory, and Greg Abbott did that a month ago. Okay, critical race. No, Greg already did this. Oh, he's gonna send border patrol to the border, or he's gonna send National Guard to the border. I'm pretty sure Greg already did that, or is gonna do it before Ron DeSantis does anyway. So again, fuck Ron DeSantis, and Greg Abbott is underrated. Now, a lot of people, including Red Eagle, including Vince Dow, support Don Huffines as a Republican candidate for governor in the primary. And sure enough, I suppose that could happen, and you know, he has a better platform than Abbott. I will give him that. But will he win? No. And sure, is there a runoff? And sure, is there an outside chance that Greg Abbott will get less than 50% among the Republican base? No, actually, there isn't. Again, he's going to be the governor again, and y'all can suck my dick. It's not gonna happen, bro. You know, Huffines bros are getting too cocky. Get off of Twitter, guys. Okay, these primary challenges to the right of a lot of these Trump Republicans are not gonna work. And quite frankly, all I want Huffines to do is make Greg Abbott keep up his conservative prowess and keep making Ron DeSantis his little bitch. So again, safe R Texas, okay? Don't let these Beto cucks on Twitter tell you any different. It's not even going to be close, okay? The electorate in Texas in 2022 will be plus 10 Republican, probably. At least. Probably like R plus 13 or something crazy. So for Greg Abbott to lose would be like, I don't even know. Like, he could kill somebody at this point and maybe lose. Okay. And also Matthew McConaughey is not running for governor, which I just thought I'd mention because I like the actor, but again, I don't know. Comment down below what you think about that guy. Okay, Colorado. Colorado is a state that won't get that close either. Jared Polis, I believe, is the governor, who's a homosexual, by the way. I just had to mention that. Weed enthusiast, disgusting, reprobate. Anyway, he is going to win by a safe margin, probably, or likely. I'll just put it as likely, you know, because it is a red wave and all that. But from what I've heard from Red Eagle, I think he mentioned in a video once that he's running a moderate administration. So that'll keep him afloat. Again, the voting trends in Colorado are fucking awful. I just do not see a flip. And what candidate do we have for the Republicans anyways? I don't know. So because of that, I don't see this as promising at all. Next state we're going to be talking about will be the state of Florida. Florida. Don't even get me started on this motherfucker, Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, overrated as hell. This guy, overall, has done nothing to help the people of Florida at all. Just kidding. That is, you know, that's obviously an exaggeration, but still, though, he's overrated. People are saying, like, he's the messiah of the Republican Party. Like, shut the fuck up, guys. Get off of Twitter, please, for 5 days. Just get off. Before you get banned, too, so you can get credit for abstaining. Anyways, Florida. It's going to be red. You know, any Republican that isn't crazy is going to win any statewide position at this rate in Florida going forward. It is trending really Republican. You saw that last year in the election. And quite frankly, you know, even if Ron DeSantis only won by 0.5% over Andrew Gillum in 2018, keep in mind it was a blue wave year. So given that fact, I think that Ron DeSantis is lining up for a 6-point win in 2022. I say this because his competition isn't very fierce. On one hand, you have the girl with the big tits. What's her name? I don't even remember. Big titty white bitch. What's her name? I don't care. That girl is unpopular. She's very much a resist Democrat and not going to work over here in Florida. Maybe in a state like, I don't know, fucking Oregon, that could work, but not in Florida. Trust me. And then keep in mind that the generic ballot in Florida could very possibly be like R plus 7 or something. So for it to be anything closer than lean R is just asinine. So don't listen to LT or these other people that don't know what they're talking about, or at least are really naive, because the Democrats don't even have a shot in hell to win Florida. Honestly, again, with the Trump endorsement, with the Trump base, and with some extra moderates on his side, I do not see Ron DeSantis losing against somebody like Nikki Fried, I just remembered her name, or Charlie Crist, who, again, is a flip-flopper, faux moderate Democrat from Pinellas County, which is a purple district anyway in that area. He's a congressman, washed-up former governor, got destroyed by Bush. Anyways, Charlie Crist, gone. He's washed. And by destroyed by George Bush, I mean an approval rating. If you look at the approval rating of let me think, of Ron DeSantis, you'll see that his approval rating used to be in the 60s. At the beginning of his administration in 2019, but clearly he has not been running the ship so well because after COVID, it seems like he's down to like 52% approval rating. So with that being said, I don't think it'll be like a more than 10-point blowout, but I think he will win. Again, like I said, he'll win like maybe like 60% of the independents. He'll probably win like 95% of the Republicans and maybe like 10% of the Democrats. And with that, you have a coalition of +5, so a likely DeSantis margin. Now, again, I am contrarian, but I do also dislike Ron DeSantis. Wow, how am I mispronouncing his name? Ron DeSantis is clearly not a good candidate for president. I don't want him to be president, but that being said, he is a good governor, not as good as Greg Abbott. Okay, now again, that's a contrarian take, but it is kind of true. And overall, I'm not that stupid. I do think he will win, almost definitely. Just like I think Marco Rubio will win the Senate the same year as well. Whew. This is taking a lot longer than I expected, so I'll hurry up. Minnesota is going to go Democrat by a tall margin. Why do you say this, Lalo? Well, what candidate are we running in Minnesota again? I don't fucking know. So maybe some no-name subpar Republican who will underperform with moderates, I suppose. And then when we think about it, Tim Walz overperformed in 2018. I remember, and if I don't, then I just don't remember. Anyways, the point is that Tim Walz is not the best candidate, but overall, he's a good fit for Minnesota because Minnesotans are stupid, I guess, because their voting pattern is very weird. Has not gone Republican in a long time, by the way, at the federal level. Again, the Republican governor from like 2010 was somebody that I forgot the name of already. So Minnesota overall is a lost cause. You can call it the white whale. At this point, we're going to flip New Mexico before we flip Minnesota. Next state we're going to be talking about is Wisconsin. That's going to be an easy flip to the Republicans. I say this because Tony Evers is less popular than the generic Democrat will be in 2022. And again, the wave factor will make it likely Republican. I don't really care who runs. They'll win. Michigan, I think, will be lean R as well. I think that Gretchen Whitmer has found her base to be pretty resilient, and that is like the Biden voter in 2020. A good 45% of the population there in Michigan is going to support her no matter what because of the COVID stuff, and her being a solid Democrat without being a socialist either. So with that being said, I do think that a black guy like Craig, what's his name? Daniel Craig maybe, the former Detroit police commissioner or whatever position he had, I think if he runs as a Republican who can get the Trump base and also, appeases the black voter in Detroit and makes him not turn out as much for Gretchen, I think this will be a lean Republican win. Anyways, next state is going to be Ohio. In Ohio, we have not the best candidate in Jim Renacci, I guess, running against Mike DeWine. Not a big deal either way. I think either will win. The environment is just that good for them. So a safe R in that case. Pennsylvania will be a state that, quite frankly, is not going to be that much of a Republican win. I see it as a lean Republican win. I just see that Tom Wolf is not the most popular guy, and he has a terrible, pedophile, gerbil look to him. And, again, he appointed Rachel Levine, who's a transvestite, who's working for Joe Biden now as the, assistant health secretary. And, all the Republican needs to do in the debate against him in November next year is just to point out that that's the case, okay? The people of Pennsylvania at this point with the Republican electorate will wake up to Tom Wolf's tomfoolery, and they will elect a Republican governor. Who? I don't know. I don't care. Maybe Lou Barletta, the Italian, maybe. Discount Stallone will take the win. Who knows? New Mexico. Will New Mexico flip? Honestly, I don't think so. When Red Eagle was explaining it earlier in his videos, it made sense, the Hispanic trend, the suburbs reverting back a little bit to the 2016 era, and a lot of other factors lead it to it becoming Republican over time. But that being said, I also think that Michelle Lujan Grisham is not that unpopular, and as long as she plays it kind of well, I mean she's Hispanic herself, half at least, she'll be able to hold it together with a lean margin in my opinion in 2022. But I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. Also, if we have the Chad version of John Doyle and Mark Ronchetti running for Senate governor, he might put it in play. I'm not going to lie. He outperformed Trump by 5 in 2020. Keep this in mind. few will notice. Next state is going to be this great state of Georgia. Georgia will go Republican by a lean margin to Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp is a guy who shit. No. David Perdue. They look vaguely alike. They have the same phenotype. Anyway, can I nail the margin? Yes, lean. I think that the Republicans should be able to win this by 3. I think Brian Kemp would probably lose to Stacey Abrams in this case, but because Big Stacey is probably going against the Trump endorsed candidate in David Perdue, I think that he will be able to get the Trump base, which is about 45% of the population plus a majority of the moderates, to make up like 52% of the total vote, and Stacey can end up with like 47, or maybe like 51 to 48%. The point is that I see the Republicans winning the generic ballot in Georgia in 2022 and us winning the governor's race by more than Brian Kemp did in 2018. I will concede that. All y'all saying, oh, the trend's going to make fat Stacey win. Nah, bullshit. Anyways, that whale can eat a dick, because we're moving on to the state of Nevada. Nevada, which will go Republican by a tilt margin. Why? Well, Steve Sisolak, for whatever reason, has a higher approval rating than the generic Democrat does, I believe, in Nevada. Now, Sisolak, for whatever reason, comes off as more moderate, relatively compared to the other Democrats. And overall, I would say that the Republican bench, in terms of the governor's race, is not looking so hot as it is for the Senate. So because of that, I will give it only a tilt Republican margin, not a lean, like I normally would. So again, the bench is not looking so good, and the Democrat governor might hold on tighter for his seat than you'd expect. The next state, best for last, of course, is going to be Arizona. Arizona is going to go Republican by a likely margin. The Democratic nominee, presumptively, is going to be Katie Hobbs, who's a carpet-munching bitch, racist Democrat, Hillary Clinton supporter. If you were put in a time warp from 5 years ago, this is definitely the politician you'd expect. She believes in the Russia stuff. I mean, she's completely wacko. So for all the people that might say, like, oh, Carrie Lake is, she's Trump's endorsed, but again, she's going to alienate the suburbs. Like, don't you think that a Hillary Clinton supporter is going to alienate Arizonans? Okay, keep in mind, Hillary lost Arizona by over 3 to Trump 5 years ago. So with that being said, I think the generic ballot will be Republican in Arizona with the red wave in 22, which means that a Republican would have to fuck up in order to lose in the swing states. So in this case, again, Carrie Lake is a smart woman, which is, again, rare find. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. And, yeah, sure, she's a woman, but she'll still win. So her being a woman kind of softens the anti-Trump suburbanite, as well as I think she's, again, not to be a coomer, but she is moderately good looking. Disregard the dyke hair for a moment. So that's good optics, photogenic. I think she has the experience as an anchor on TV to do well in debates against Katie Hobbs and not seem as unhinged, believe it or not. So with that being said, I think that she will win by like 5 or 6. Okay. Not only because the wind is at her back, but also the Democratic nominee, presumptively, is going to be pretty weak. So I predict in 2022 we will end up with about 33 governorships for the Republicans and 17 for the Democrats, which seems pretty good. We're also going to be ending up flipping Pennsylvania. We're going to flip Michigan, Wisconsin, Kansas, Nevada, and not Georgia, but overall we're going to flip like a good 4 to 6 states, and with the possible additions of maybe Connecticut is a sleeper flip, Minnesota, and New Mexico, far-fetched as it may be. The Republicans could also very well lose Michigan, let me think what else we could lose. Maybe Nevada we could lose as well. But overall, I think the Republicans will end up gaining gubernatorial seats, which is going to help us in the long stretch. And I'm not even going to bother mentioning Massachusetts too much in this video because, again, it's not that important, between a rhino or a moderate libtard. Again, I would prefer the rhino, but I don't really care. I don't live anywhere close to the Patriots country over there. Anyways, comment down below what you think about the prediction, and also what you think about the length. This really took forever. This took me half an hour to record, believe it or not. I'm like an Olympian at this point. My mental capacity is just being fried with politics right now. I'm like so burnt out. But again, it is kind of a white pill to see us flip so many states in a year. And I do think that if we run the ship pretty if we run the marathon, we can definitely end up winning, okay? By that, I mean that we can honestly flip more states than this if we really conduct the campaign well. This is not an optimistic prediction, by the way. Again, if I were being very optimistic, I would say we could definitely flip Minnesota at that rate. We could flip New Mexico as well with the trends, but I'm not. I'm going to be more realistic and just say we're going to end up with 33 governor seats instead of the Democrats' 17. And I think that these gains in 22 will set us up for a good 2024. Okay? Anyways, guys, goodbye.